Hi everyone, we are back because we've got another Conquest coming up on Monday. So this is the Conquest that we are going to be playing to earn Malakos. Obviously, I'm here with Little Man and we're going to go through the feats because they've just been data mined. So they are quite hefty. But I think a lot of them are still going to be doable. They have also made a couple of slight changes, it looks like, to the Battle Pass Plus, so the more expensive Conquest Pass that you can buy. And I'm going to go through that as well and give you an idea on whether or not you're going to want to skip any feats, which feats I might recommend skipping. So let's just kind of hop in. Obviously, all the feats are data mined as per SWGOH events. The Discord server there was SIG, and it looks, like I said, hefty. There are some that are going to be a little bit intense in terms of whether or not we're going to be able to do them. But I think it's all going to be relatively doable. The main thing you want to keep in mind now is the Pass Plus has been slightly altered. It does give you two consumables to use. One is called Overprepared 1, and yes, that's right. And one is called Deployable Cooling Systems. So again, it is a consumable, not the disc, deployable cooling systems. And the reason why I want to bring this up is that if you buy the higher version of the Pass Plus, so the $30 American version, yeah, it's going to give you those consumables, or you can earn those consumables through global feats. So essentially, by buying the Pass Plus, you're able to skip those global feats that give you that consumable because you can equip it right away and just do the feat that is tied to using that consumable. So kind of how we had to do massively overpowered feats with that disc once we got it unlocked in the past Conquest. It's the same idea, except that instead of being a disc, it's a consumable. Okay. All that being said, let's just go look at the game because I've already come up with some squad ideas here, and I'm just going to go through the sectors first. Then we'll look at the global feats, and then I'm going to give you kind of three scenarios here and what feats I might recommend skipping. Again, it's just my recommendation. Yeah, if you want to do something else, by all means, all the power to you. As long as you get the crate that you're aiming for, I'm perfectly happy for you to do it how you see fit. And hopefully we make it through here. Okay, so Sector 1, you need to defeat 50 enemies with droid units. You need to win 14 battles with no tanks in your squad. Really straightforward. Gain defense up 40 times and attempt to inflict ability block 60 times. So like I said, pretty straightforward for Sector 1. Droid kills, I've recommended this team multiple times. General Grievous with Newt. Yes, it pretty much walks through the sectors in Conquest. Absolutely love it. It's really, really helpful to get you through there. Defense up is pretty straightforward. I also recommend this team because you can generally do it in one battle. You want Clone Wars Chewie lead because it's his leadership giving you defense up, and then you take in 4 tanks. 9 times out of 10, you're going to lose the fight, but you're going to get 40 defense up in one go that way. Anyway, sometimes you'll win. I have won before. It's a very odd outcome. It's usually 1 star. Doesn't really matter. The point is you can get the feat done in one shot. Obviously, 14 battles with no tanks. Just don't take a tank on your team. Pretty straightforward, but you do have to attempt to inflict ability block 60 times. So I do like this Jedi Master Luke team. It does mean that you're obviously using a tank, unfortunately, but because of Jedi Master Luke being there, you have the AoE from him to get the ability block out. And then you're able to call other Jedi because of his leadership. And I would recommend just calling Bastilla over and over because her basic inflicts ability blocks. So you're going to rack that up pretty quickly. Yes. You could also do a Jedi Knight Revan lead for ability block. And this would also let you double dip in terms of having no tanks on your team. So again, Bastilla has it on her basic. Kyle Katarn also has it on his basic, so you can get your ability blocks in with both of them. And then, of course, Jolie's there just to get some revives in, just in case, so you can guarantee your 3-star that way. And obviously, no one here is a tank, so you're double dipping that way. Thank you. The mini boss, again, we're going to be not double dipping, but doing the boss and the mini bosses twice because the feats contradict each other. So you have to win with Kylo Ren unmasked surviving, and then win without using any Jedi, Sith, unaligned Force users in your squad. And then for the boss, same feat, no Jedi, Sith, unaligned Force users, but you also have to win with Ben Solo surviving. So no Jedi, Sith, unaligned Force users. Bam, Han, Chewie is pretty much my go-to. And then, of course, I also use them for the survival feats as well. This is if we're going to have Volatile Accelerator and Amplify Agni back in play. Yes. As of me recording this, I have not seen a disc list put out by CG. Not that that really is going to tell us a lot because the disc list we were given last Conquest was inaccurate. So hopefully we do have them. If not, you can also go ahead and use a clone team. Normally I would put Chewbacca as the 5th on this team, but there is a global feat that requires 40 wins with a full clone trooper squad. So I would recommend just doing a 5th clone instead of Chewie there. And that way you can double dip to the global feat and get your Jedi Sith, no Jedi Sith unaligned Force users feat there. And again, you could also do Bad Batch because that is no Jedi, Sith, etc. And you get your clone trooper dipped for your global feat that way too. Okay, so let's have a look at Sector 2 now. In Sector 2, we need to defeat 60 enemies with rebel fighters, win 14 battles with no attackers, attempt to inflict purge 300 times, and gain foresight 60 times. So again, really straightforward for Sector 2. Nothing too crazy here. Yes. Yes. No attackers. I absolutely love using Padme, and when you stick Grandmaster Yoda on the squad, you're going to be able to double dip and get your foresight that way as well. This is also a lot of fun if you have Zealous Ambition discs equipped, because Padme and Co are going to hit like wrecking balls. So yes, that is what I would recommend using. Rebel fighters, obviously you can go with your standard Mon Mothma squad if you want to. Pretty straightforward there. And then you could also, if you don't have a Mon Mothma squad that's reliable, you could go with a Jedi Master Luke lead again and stick Kyle Katarn on the squad since he is a Jedi and he's also a rebel fighter. So you would just call him over and over again with the leadership ability. Purge. Okay, so for Purge, obviously this goes without saying, if you have a full Grand Inquisitor or Reva squad, you are going to use that squad to get Purge. Like that's just how you're going to do it, especially if you have Reva unlocked because of her leadership. If you don't, however, this is a squad that I do enjoy using. It does require the Volatile Accelerator disc. So it is Palpatine lead, Kylo Ren unmasked as your tank, and then 7th sister, 5th brother, and 9th sister. So three Inquisitors there. What you do with this is you only equip Volatile Accelerator to feed turn meter because of Palpatine's lead. And then that way you will go in a loop and take a whole bunch of turns with your Inquisitors, inflicting purge. It works really nicely, believe it or not, against Padme squads. They pretty much don't take a turn because you're feeding yourself so much turn meter. This is a feat that I recommend doing towards the end so that you can swap your discs around as you see fit after you've already completed the majority of your feats. Because again, you want to remove all of your other discs equipped so that you're not killing the enemies, which is why I recommend going against Padme squads because they are just so thick that you most likely will not kill them. So that is the Sector 2 feats. And then for the bosses, again, for both, for the mini boss, you need to win with Tarful surviving, and then win without Jedi, Sith, or unaligned Force users. So again, I would do the Bam and the clones. And then for the boss, win with Saw Gerrera surviving. Same idea with Bam there. And then win with only dark side characters. So that is extremely straightforward. I don't think I need to tell you how to put a dark side team together. Okay, yes, we're going to look at Sector 3 now. Sector 3, you need to gain We Have Returned 60 times. This is only available through Malgus's lead. Defeat 50 enemies with Geonosians. Win at least 14 battles with a full squad of Galactic Republic units, and attempt to inflict stagger 60 times. So again, pretty straightforward here. Thank you. We have returned, like I said, you're only getting that from your Malgus lead. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a full straight Malgus Sith Empire team. You are going to get, we have returned when doubt expires off of your enemies. So you want to use Malgus's second special, I believe it is, to ensure you're putting doubt out there on the enemies and then having it turn into we have returned. So again, it's only coming from Malgus, and it's 60 times. So if you can find a squad where you can take several turns in a row, it's hard to chew through. Squads with revives, that will help you cut down on how many times you're going to have to do this. Defeating 50 enemies with Geonosians. If you have rock solid Geos, obviously that's pretty straightforward. You can use them. If you don't, you can also do my typical Treya lead here, where I would go against a Geonosian team, believe it or not, because a Treya lead, they're going to end up essentially killing themselves for you. You want to have a tank there to take all the hits, and then hopefully your Geos can go in and snipe a couple of kills that way. If you have Admiral Trench, you could also consider running an Admiral Trench lead team with a couple of Geos and Watt. You could take Django as your fifth. You could take another Geo realistically. But that would be another way for you to get some Geo kills that way. Again, if you don't have a fully relic Geo squad. Okay. 14 battles with a full Galactic Republic squad. So again, I also still really like using Padme for that, which is what I would like to do. But however, if you want to double dip and you want to work on those 40 clone wins you're going to need for your global feat when we get there in a little bit, you could take a full clone squad instead, and that will let you double dip for your globals. Yeah. And that way you can work towards 14 battles of Galactic Republic teams, winning, and 40 battles with a full Clone Trooper team as well. Important to note, Omega is not considered a Galactic Republic unit. So if you're going to use Bad Batch thinking you're double dipping, you're not actually double dipping. So just kind of keep that in your back pocket. Stagger here. I personally like to do Kira lead Scoundrels. Kira's got an AoE stagger, and then you've got stagger with vet smuggler Han here. And they do work pretty well, particularly if you take Han and Chewie with them. You can get through some teams pretty decently. And again, you need to inflict stagger 60 times, or attempt to inflict, I should say. Okay, and the mini boss in Sector 3, one feat is no Galactic Legends in your squad, and the other feat is winning with 5 surviving. So you can, in fact, double dip this one. You would be able to do both in one fight, whether you use a full clone squad or whether you did the Bam Han Chewie trick, either or would work. And then the boss, win without using a Galactic Legend in your squad, and win with 5 victors. So this is an old feat that we had a while ago. It was bugged for one of the Conquest runs that we had it. You essentially want 5 characters on your team that are capable of soloing for enemies. So depending on your discs, obviously that's going to depend on who you take, but General Skywalker, Malik, Luke, Vader, etc. are all really good characters to choose from, because they're each going to go basically one-on-one against the enemy team. Again, this was a while ago that it was out, and it worked fine. It's kind of weird, but you just want to take 5 really strong characters. All right, let's have a look at Sector 4. So Sector 4, you need to win 14 battles with a full squad of Inquisitorius units, attempt to inflict evasion down 40 times, attempt to inflict armor shred 20 times, and defeat 50 enemies with Imperial Trooper units. Straightforward. Grand Inquisitor is now available in the Journey Guide, so if you don't have him, I highly recommend going and getting him, because that is going to help move things along for you. Imperial Troopers, so obviously straight up Imperial Trooper team is going to help you get the defeats there. You could sub in Watt if you wanted as your 5th and use a Frenzy Tech just to kind of feed them all turn meter and go that way as well. That would be fine. Obviously, if you have a full Inquisitor squad, you're going to take your full Inquisitor squad in, and that's going to do your 14 wins. Armor Shred, there are a couple of ways you can do it. I personally like to run a Kenobi lead. Yes, mister. I like to run a Kenobi lead with Kat, General Skywalker, and Cam. All 3 of those are going to get you your armor shreds. You could also do a Jedi Master Luke lead and run full Jedi with him as well with Gas and Cam, and that would also get you the armor shreds that way. And then in terms of evasion down, obviously CLS, because Chupio is the character that has evasion down on his basic, and he assists so much that you are going to be racking it up pretty quickly. And you could also do Jedi Master Luke lead for evasion down and armor shred at the same time. If you are calling old Ben, his basic has evasion down on it, so I would just call him nonstop. And obviously using armor shred with Gas and Cam if possible, whenever they have it available, and that will help you double dip on those 2 feats. In terms of the bosses, the mini boss, no Jedi, Sith, unaligned Force users. Again, I would do clones here to double dip with your global feat, and then win with Starkiller surviving. So stick him on a full Starkiller team or Bam Han Chewie. The boss is to win with only light side characters. So again, take your full light side character team, and then also win with Admiral Trench surviving. So if you do have him, you're going to want to put him on a team. Bam Han Chewie, again, is probably what I would do. You could do a full separatist squad, again, depending on who the boss is. I haven't seen it yet in the data mine. So that is that for Sector 4. Okay, let's have a look at Sector 5, and then we can look at the global teams, and I will give you some ideas on what to skip. Okay, so Sector 5, you need to defeat 50 enemies with Phoenix characters. Yikes. Win at least 20 battles without losing any units. Attempt to inflict blind 60 times and gain foresight 60 times. So this, I don't know if it will change. Gaining foresight 60 times is listed in Sector 5 and in Sector 2. I don't know if that is a mistake in terms of what was pulled, in terms of what CG did. It looks like it matches the data according to the data mine. So whether or not CG changes this before Conquest starts, I don't know. However, foresight 60 times, we might be doing that twice. So keep that in mind. Defeating 50 enemies with Phoenix characters. The first squad here is Phoenix, Ezra, Cannon, Chopper, and Rex. And the reason why that is, you will see, we have a lovely global feat that we need to use those 5 specific characters. So if you want to double dip, that's what I would do. I don't know how well they will work in Sector 5, especially at the gear levels you can see mine are at. So I'm going to be totally straight up with you there. You could also, though, do a Jedi Master Luke lead for Phoenix and stick Ezra on the team and just call him nonstop to get the kills. This also would double dip for blind, since we need to do that 60 times with Jedi Knight Luke there. And gaining foresight, since we have Grandmaster Yoda. I did put Jolie on there to revive Ezra in case he dies. So that is probably how you're going to want to get that done if you want to be double dipping as much as possible. If you do have to do it. Another blind, pretty obvious here, is to go with CLS because Chupio has the AoE blind, so that will help speed it up. If you are doing the clones, I would do Bad Batch with Omega because Omega has blind on her basic, and that will double dip to your global feats, which we will go over here shortly. And then you get to your mini boss and boss. So the mini boss, you need to win with 5 Sith Empire characters. So take your 5 Sith Empire here. I specifically chose Malgus because it will double dip with a global feat if he survives. And then win without using any Jedi, Sith, or unaligned Force users. So same idea, Bam Han Chewie or clones. Again, I would do clones over if you can, just to double dip with the global feat. And the boss, no Jedi, Sith, unaligned Force users, so same idea there. and win with Jedi Knight Cal Kestis surviving. So if you do not have Jedi Knight Cal Kestis, you obviously cannot do this feat in Sector 5. It is worth 5 points. You can skip 34 total. So if you do not have Jedi Knight Cal, you are skipping 29 other points elsewhere. So just knock 5 off of your total right away. Okay, so let's talk about the global side of this because it is hefty. So we need to defeat at least 250 enemies on the Golden Challenge path. So for those of you unaware, bless you, there are fights in Conquest that kind of have like a golden ring around them. They go along the top or along the bottom of the Conquest path, depending where you are in the sector. That is the Golden Challenge path. It leads you to either 2 Conquest data disk nodes or 2 scavenger nodes that you can purchase consumables from. So basically, you're going to need to defeat 250 enemies along that path specifically, on those nodes specifically. They're forcing you into that path. That being said, if you don't want to take it, you don't have to take it. It's 15 points. If you don't want to take it consistently, you also don't have to take it consistently because you could theoretically replay the same node over and over to defeat the 250 enemies. Do I recommend doing that? No, but theoretically you could. Okay. So that is the first thing that I wanted to point out that is slightly different in the globals. The next 2 feats are the win 40 battles. So one is win 40 battles with Darth Malgus surviving. I would put him on a full Sith Empire squad personally. I would use his lead because we're going to want his lead in Sector 3. So that's going to double dip there. And then that way you can work on Sector 3 for We Have Returned and also winning 40 times with him here. So again, he needs to survive. The rest of the team looks like can die. He needs to survive. You also need to win 40 times with a full squad of clones. It does not say that any of them need to survive. You just need to win. So you have your Bad Batch here. And then you also could do a Rex lead. Yes, mister. Yeah. You could do a Rex lead team with a 5th clone trooper. I would take Captain Rex or I would take Cody personally. Either of those. And that's how you're going to get that done. The good news here is if you have Bad Batch and 501st clones, you can essentially build 2 clone teams and get this done twice as fast. Here is the bad one. Win 20 battles with Captain Rex, Chopper, Ezra, Hera, and Kanan surviving. So this is a full Phoenix squad. It's worth 15 points. You need to win 20 battles. All of them need to survive, though. So this is... It's not ideal. Because it is only 20 battles, if you are doing this, I would recommend getting your data disks sorted for the first couple of days and then starting this on day like 4, for example, 4 or 5, and doing 3 battles a day once you've got your data disks built up. Again, because it's a global feat, you can do it in any of the sectors, so I would probably do it in Sector 1 if you had to force my hand into doing this. Okay, and then we have the 2 feats, technically 4 left, but 2 of them are worth 1 point. The first one is defeat 100 enemies with Cal Kestis, Seer, or Jedi Knight Cal. That is 1 point, and it gives you the consumable over-prepared 1. So again, if you buy the more expensive Conquest Pass, you can skip that in order to just do the second part of the feat, which is complete a battle with over-prepared 1 active for 15 points, i.e. you just use the consumable and get the 15 points. So if you're doing Cal Seer kills, though, I would do a Jedi Master Luke team so that you can call Cal and Seer repeatedly. Obviously, you want Watt there to make Jedi Master Luke taunt. If you have Jedi Knight Cal, you could throw him on the team and do a full Jedi squad if you wanted. Or I would just add in another Jedi specifically so that you're able to call the characters that you need to call. The next one is Wookiees. So win 20 battles with a full squad of Wookiees. This gives you deployable cooling systems and 1 point. Again, deployable cooling systems is a consumable, not the disc. And then for 15 points, you just equip the consumable and win a battle with it on. If you're doing a full Wookiee team, I would probably do a Tarful lead and then your 4 Wookiees with him. And I would probably do this in Sector 1 against the Bounty Hunter Datacron node if possible. Again, if you buy the Pass Plus, you get this consumable right away. And then you can just equip it and get the 15 points. So you don't necessarily have to do the 20 wins with the Wookiees. So all that being said, what do I recommend doing? I've got 3 kind of scenarios to play out for you. Let's say you don't buy the Conquest Pass Plus. You buy the $10 one or you don't buy one at all. And you don't have Jedi Cal. You're going to skip that automatically. I'm going to recommend skipping the Phoenix members surviving because that's going to be honestly quite tough in my opinion. And then you can additionally skip 1 feat only in sectors 3 or 4 because those are the ones that are worth 10 points. That gives you a total of 30 points. So you have 4 points of wiggle room here. So you're skipping 30 by you choosing those 3 things there. So again, if you do have Jedi Cal, I would factor that in, do that feat if possible, and that gives you 5 points of wiggle room. So instead of having 4 points of wiggle room left over here, you actually have 9, and you can skip as you see fit there. Okay, so let's say you do buy the pass, but you still don't have Cal. You're going to skip Jedi Cal surviving. You're still going to skip the Phoenix members surviving because, God no. You are going to skip 20 Wookiee wins and 100 Cal Seer kills in the globals because you're getting those consumables already. So you don't have to do them. Throw the consumable on, get your 15 points, and carry on. And then you can also skip 1 feat only in sectors 3 or sectors 4. Take your pick, since that's worth 10 points. And that gives you a total of 32 points skipped if you do that. Okay, so let's say you buy the pass and you have Jedi Cal. I would skip the Phoenix members surviving still. 20 Wookiee wins and 100 Cal because, again, you're getting the consumable. And then you can skip 1 of the 40 wins feats. So you can either skip the Malgus one or you can skip the clones. But you have to do the other one. And that is a total of 32 skipped. So again, we can skip 34. And those are just kind of my off the top of my head suggestions of what I would probably skip. And go from there. Okay. So all of that being said, I think we've covered it all. I think this is a good jumping base point here for it. If you are looking for other planning, Zareth is going to make his video as well, focusing on Prevailman specifically, which is a 4 million GP account with no Galactic Legends. So if you're looking for something like that, I would highly recommend checking that out, and I will link it below. Otherwise, I will see you next week for the usual sector walkthrough type of style video, whatever that we're doing. And hopefully it all goes well. And if anything changes, just keep your eye out, I would say, on Discord. That's where everything is going to be posted if anything changes in terms of these feats or if anything looks bugged. But I will definitely let you know here as well as soon as possible. And that's it. We're done. You gonna say bye? All right, guys. I will see you next week.